friends. Once again, my name is Todd, middle school director. I have not been here in a while because some of you guys know I've been battling cancer for about 3 years, and I spent about 8 weeks in the fall in Arizona doing some alternative treatment. So I say this because many of you have been praying for me and asking questions and wanting to know what's going on. And I told you from the very beginning, and I'm going to share as much as I can with you. So at the end of that journey, I got to go to Houston, and they burned the last 3 spots left in my liver of cancer that was in my liver. And so that's gone now. And so as far as science can tell and everything, they can't see any cancer in my body anymore. So that is fantastic. That is fantastic. So I will continue. If you guys are here on Sundays, you'll see me with my little chemo pack. I'll continue on with chemo just because, what we know is science is not far enough that they can, detect, every tiny little thing in your body. So in case there's any cancer floating around in me still, we're going to do some chemo and try to burn all those little boogers up and get them out of there. So y'all, just thank you so much for all the messages and prayers and support that you guys have done. For 8 weeks, I was watching y'all on the camera. You guys can see the camera back there wave, a little red dot. That was me, watching you all from Arizona, giggling and worshiping with you guys, and sometimes asking you to be quiet. Be quiet. There was a lot of that. But I was in Arizona and you couldn't hear me. So I just want to establish a little bit of culture here of how we interact with each other and what we're going to do. So at this moment, I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to share a story about things that have been going on in my life and things that God has been speaking to me, and share those things with you, okay? What I ask of you in the next for 12 minutes, if your devices can go in your pocket and you can face forward and you can make sure that you're not a distraction to those people that are around you. So if you need to move seats so you're not tempted to be a distraction, then you can do that. I see Drew talking to a few of you back there. I know you guys can do this. But here's the thing, God moves in all kinds of amazing ways, and sometimes it's in ways that we don't always understand. So you see that picture up there, the heart shape, when you guys see that thing, can I do it like this? Who do you think of? What do you think of, when you see that? There's somebody pop culture-wise that we think about a lot recently. I'll show her a picture. There you go. T Swift has embraced this. So here, find a friend next to you. I want you to make the heart shape with your hands. So I just got to get pictures of you guys ready? Yeah, connect your hands together. It's weird. Yeah, there you go. You guys have got it. Yeah, hold up your heart shapes there. Good. I got that section. All right, there you go. You guys are sharing. Good. I see it. Good. Oh my goodness, there's a pile of puppies and heart shapes over here. There you go. In the back, I'll get you. There you go. Good. So we've seen this. We've seen this around. And so somebody just raised their hand. Why does Taylor Swift do this? I know there's Swiftie historians that know these things. Okay, right back. Why does Taylor Swift do this? Yeah, she loves her fans and she's grateful for them. That's a fantastic answer. Would you guys agree with that? That Taylor Swift appreciates her fans and she's grateful for them and she shows love to them a lot. And really it's in response to the love the fans have shown you. Okay, so I want to paint this picture for you. And this is my picture. If you agree with this picture, then you can shake your head or something like that. But who's ever stayed away from their parents for a night? You've gone to camp or stayed at someone's house or something like that. Okay, so some of you have it. Jake was just last week. He turned 18 and his mom was you can stay at somebody else's house. So for me growing up, this is kind of what it looked like if I was going to be away from my parents. As I'm heading out the door, they're did you bring a change of clothes? Anybody had that, statement? Okay, and then do you have deodorant because you kind of smell now, right? Anybody had that statement? Okay, okay. When you're there and you see Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, it's always please and thank you, yes sir, yes ma'am. Anybody else had that conversation as you leave, right? So as you're leaving, they think the world's going to end, and every bit of information you need to know, they're trying to give to you in the last 45 seconds as you're walking out the door. Okay, what about with coaches? You guys ever have that, if you're on a team sport or something like that, or an individual sport, and you're getting ready, Connor's back here, you're getting ready to go on to the wrestling match, and he's don't forget this, and don't do that, and don't do this, and do this, and do that, and they're just overwhelming you with information. Do you soak it all in when coaches just blah, 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 at you? Not at all, right? Like you're like focused on what you're doing and you understand that they're there to help you, your parents, your coaches or whatever, but it's just too much. Like they're just spewing so much at you. Well, the story that we're going to look at in the Bible is kind of this way. Like Jesus is talking to his disciples and he's getting ready to give them a whole bunch of information. And we should just read it here and let's go. So this is Luke 13:34 through 35. This is Jesus giving instruction to his disciples. Jesus says to the disciples, "Love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know you that you are my disciples if you love one another." So let's keep that on the screen there. The sentence before this, Jesus says, "I won't be with you long, so love one another," right? And so like there's this so and there's like this comma, so love one another. And then he goes and says this beautiful thing that generations upon generations have been like, this is important. This love one another piece is really important. But here's the great thing. Right after this, Peter, the disciple, the one he calls the rock that screws up all the time, but Jesus loves and all that type of stuff, he says this. He says, "Lord, where are you going?" So like paragraphs ago, Jesus said, "I'm going to be leaving. I won't be with you long." And then like lays into this amazing love one another thing. And Peter like skips the whole love one another thing. Like that doesn't matter to him. He's like, hey Jesus, like, but where are you going? Like, do we get to go? Like, do I need to pack my bag? Do I need deodorant? Do I need clothes? Do I need to do those things before I go on this trip? Like, he missed all the instructions Jesus was giving him because he was so stuck on the like, I'm leaving part. Any of my ADHD friends out there kind of this way, you're like, squirrel. Like, I get Reese's peanut butter cups and then what, right? Like we kind of miss those pieces. Okay, so Peter is the great representation of many of us in this story. But what I love is like God and Jesus are doing amazing things here and like Peter misses it. And I get that all the time. Like God's doing these amazing things and I'm like, hey, but like, do I get ice cream for dinner? And like, what? Like, there's like steak and all these other amazing things over here. Like, yeah, but ice cream. And my family's just like, dude, what is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, I like ice cream. And so we get distracted in those things. Guys, there's times in our world where God's doing amazing things and we get distracted. And there's a lot of times in the world where people are kind of nasty and ugly, yet Jesus here is calling us to love them anyways, to love all people. And that people will know us by the way we love others. There's this author that you'll discover probably maybe junior or senior year, but for sure in college. His name's Kurt Vonnegut. And Kurt says this. He says, "Be warned, if you allow yourself to see dignity in someone, you have doomed yourself to wanting to understand and help whoever it is." I love this word that he uses, doomed. Like, your life will be over because you actually cared about somebody else. I want to warn you that I think he's true. I think this is true. And I would obviously remove the doomed word, right? But I will tell you that, like, if you decide to love everyone, if you decide to honor dignity, and this word dignity, there's this organization I serve with down in in Kansas City, Kansas, that uses this word over and over. That like if we can help people have dignity, then the world is open to them. And if us as human beings love everybody and we see them and allow them to have dignity, they are now part of our world, part of our family. And here's what I know is that if you are that close to somebody, one, it's beautiful and magical, but it's also really messy because humans are humans. And when we are like engaged with somebody in a relationship that's trusting and caring and helping, we get to not only deal with our own mess, but we get to deal with theirs. But I believe that's what God is calling us to. And Jesus showed this by coming on earth and like living with us in all the mess and all that type of stuff. All right, so talking about mess, when I was in my 20s, not only was I touring in a rock band, but I worked as a photographer at Hallmark cards. So I would like work at Hallmark like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I would get in a really stinky van and drive with dudes across the country, and I'd go play rock shows, and then I'd come back late Sunday night, and I'd do it over and over and over again. It was a great season for this. My wife was in dental school, so I didn't get to see her anyways. And I worked at Hallmark to pay for our bills and then tried to be a rock star. I was a rock star. It was pretty decent. Anyways, moving on. When I was at Hallmark, I learned amazing things about photography and creativity, and it grew me a lot. But the most amazing experience that I ever had is I got to meet a woman named Dr. Maya Angelou. And so I don't know if you know anything about Dr. Angelou. She, like on the pop culture side of things, like she was on the Oprah show all the time. President Clinton had her as the poet laureate, but she is like an American poet icon. And she signed on with Hallmark Cards to write some content. I got to fly to North Carolina with some of my other creative people to help photograph Dr. Angelou in her house, and we got to spend her 85th birthday with her. Dr. Angelou was a tall woman. She's a beautiful black woman. She's probably about 6'1", and her story is amazing. Go look her up. If you're ever looking for an American person to do a story on for English or history or something like that, she will blow your mind. I do not have enough time to tell her stories. But I got to tell you that we're sitting at this table. There's probably 16 people, her 85th birthday. She's in the middle. There's like kind of a mom type sitting down at the end that works for Hallmark, and she looks at Dr. Angelou down this table, like so me to Emma, and she said, Dr. Angelou, I just got to share something with you. I need some help from you. My son, he is just not good at math. Like he's just terrible at math. Like he can't do math. Like he tries really hard, but he just can't. Some people just can't do things. And where Emma is, I'm this far, and Dr. Angelou goes, stop. She had a big, deep, booming voice. Stop. And the whole room freezes. This is like party atmosphere. Silence. And she moseys over to this gal and looks her right in the eye. And she goes, words have wings. Even if the person you are talking about isn't in the room, those words will land on them and become true. I just sat there with my jaw dropped wide open, like that this woman just silenced this room and dropped this truth bomb in the middle of it that not only affects people of faith, and clearly was going to affect this mom for the rest of her life, right? But shook the rest of us. Much like the truths of Jesus shakes us. So I just could not leave today without you hearing and experiencing just a little bit of Dr. Angelou. Here's a clip of her from the Oprah show, probably a decade ago.
Maybe the hardest part is if you teach, you have to live your teaching. You can't say, you do not as I do, but do as I say. No. You have to say, I'm doing my best to live what I teach. I have a painting by Phoebe of a group that she calls Sister Suki's Funeral. And all the women, there are about 9 women, and they all look like women in my grandmother's prayer meeting group. So whenever I'm obliged to do something, I take that painting and I look at that painting. There's an empty chair. And I think, now what would Grandma do? What would she say? I can almost hear her voice say, now, sister, you know what's right. Just do right. You don't really have to ask anybody. The truth is, right may not be expedient. It may not be profitable, but it will satisfy your soul. It brings you the kind of protection that bodyguards can't give you. Try to be all you can be, to be the best human being you can be. Try to be that in your church, in your temple. Try to be that in your classroom. Do it because it is right to do. You see, people will know you, and they will add their prayers to your life. They'll wish you well. I think if your name is mentioned and people say, oh, hell, oh, damn, I think you're doing something wrong. But if your name is mentioned and people say, oh, she's so sweet, he's so nice, oh, God bless her. There you are. So try to live your life in a way that you will not regret years of useless virtue and inertia and timidity. Take up the battle. Take it up. It's yours. This is your life. This is your world. I'll be leaving it long before you under the ordinary set of circumstances. You make your own choices. You can decide life isn't worth living. And that would be the worst thing you can do. How do you know? So far. Try it. See. So pick it up. Pick up the battle and make it a better world. Just where you are. Yes. And it can be better, and it must be better. But it is up to us.
Oh, friends, it is time to pick up the battle. And not in the way that like the world tells us, or we look out on TV, or we think what it is. It is time to pick up the battle and to love each other so much that it becomes messy. That when people look at you, it's not about like, oh goodness, here comes that person again. They look at you and they smile and they think that person loves others well. God bless them. And what I know about all of you is that you are those people. I've seen you do that. I've seen you serve on mission trips. I've seen you love each other here. I've seen you make choices with your money and with your time that makes the world a better place. You are not too young for this. I love the statement that she says there. Like, the world is short for her. At this point, she's like in her 90s. She is not with us anymore. It is our turn. It is your turn to love each other so well that they look at you and go, God bless them. That is fantastic, young person. Here's the thing on the way. If we keep loving each other so well, Dr. Andrew says this, a friend may be waiting behind a stranger's face. Every relationship starts with invitation. So some of you guys were asking about, like, what's the deal with all the random furniture here on the stage? And, like, why is our thing called shipped? Well, like, this is what y'all kids say about relationship, right? You say shipped. Y'all, relationship with God generally starts with an invitation from somebody else that they love and that they care for. You have the ability to invite people into God's presence and to Jesus' love that he's shown on this earth way better than this old guy does and way better than Dr. Angelou did. You are sitting having lunch with them, you're in class with them, you play sports with them, you're in choir with them, you're in band with them. God has called you to love each other so well that people will know you by the way that you love. And whether that's inviting them here on Wednesday nights to have fun and be with friends and eat food and be in fellowship, if it's inviting them to Sunday mornings so they can dig deeper into the Bible, if it's inviting them to go to Snow Creek with us in a couple weeks, or if it's inviting them to go with a serve trip this summer, there's all these opportunities that you have, and it only matters when you love someone so well to invite them into what God is doing, not only in your life, but in this greater community. And then finally, I want to share with you something that we're so excited about. Jesus has this invitation for us in a way that, like, it's just super powerful. You see it in the Bible, you see it in church every time, and it's this thing called baptism. So when Jesus invites us, there's a lot of ways that we can accept and follow him. And right now, you can sit here right now. You've seen Pastor Adam do this in church. You can put your hands in front of yourself here, and you can say, you can accept God's love, you can accept the community, you can accept that everything won't be perfect, but that God will always be with us. So it starts like this. Let's just close your eyes for a second. Put your hands in front of you, and you can repeat this after me if you want. It starts with saying, yes, God, I believe. I want to follow Jesus. Forgive me for all my junk. Forgive me for all my junk. Lead me each moment, so that I can be a better representation of God's love. It's as simple as that, y'all. giving up our junk to God and saying, we messed up, forgive us, love us, so that we can go love one others. It's as simple as that. But then there's this outward sign of like what we just said. If you're prepared for that, it's called baptism. And many of you might have been baptized as babies. I was baptized, I was probably 6 or 7. I kneeled in front. They sprinkled some water on me. It was my parents saying, I'm going to raise this young person in God's love and grace and peace. Some of you are in confirmation right now, and you're getting ready to reclaim what your parents did years ago for you as your own. But baptism is this sign of you saying, I love Jesus. I give my sins over to Jesus, and I want to follow Jesus. We're going to do that here on a Wednesday night. We're going to have like big water tubs here and there that you can like have immersion baptism, like maybe you've seen some of your other friends do or you've seen on the movies. We'll have sprinkle baptism because that's what we do a lot here as a time. So if you've never been baptized, you can do that on this Wednesday night coming up February 21st. There you go. If you have been baptized previously by your parents or by a choice of your own, and you want to reaffirm your baptism in front of your community here, you can do that as well here. Guys, this is a special, special moment. We have prayed for this for a long, long time. And I want you to know that baptism is a response to God's invitation to follow him and follow Jesus, and your outward sign of claiming that. It will be a beautiful moment. Will you guys pray with me? Lord God, we are so grateful for these amazing students that choose to be here. We are grateful to watch them as they love people, as they invite them into community. Lord, may this be like a living room space where they feel comfortable inviting students to be in your presence, to feel your love, to feel the community that you have built here, and to go and change this world for the better. And all the people said, Amen.